What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Slaw Sports Show. I'm your host, Cole Noble, aka Slaw. We're live here on this beautiful Friday evening to continue discussing NFL draft prospects. We're going position by position. Last week on Friday, we did our quarterbacks with Matt Laguzza, and then Matt Laguzza in studio on Monday. We did our wide receivers. Full breakdowns and analysis can be found on the channel at the Slaw Sports Show. And today we are going to talk about two running backs in particular. For the running back position group that could be potentially first-round picks. One seems like pretty much a lock to go in the first round. The other one, on the other hand, might sneak in, might not. Early in the process, we saw this guy's name floated around a little bit, but lately, more of a top of the second round guy. But today we're going to be bringing in Matt Laguzza again. So Matt on the show, how's it going, my man?
Two pretty exciting draft prospects that are going to make a team very happy in the near future. So, should be a good show.
All right, Matt, first up, you're a Texas guy. I'll give you a horn, go ahead and give you a horns up for that one.
Yeah.
So your Texas guy is going to be Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson, the bell cow of that Longhorn offense, and had a really strong career. Now ready to make himself a strong positioning to be, the next first-round running back drafted. Probably in the teens. There's some positional concerns, but, I'll let you talk more about that.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard for the past few years, is a running back a good pick in the first round? And for the most part, teams will probably come to a consensus agreement that it's not really the type of player that you want to draft with a high overall day one pick. But Bijan Robinson is an exception. I mean, he is going to be a superstar in this league. If you just look at the last year here over in Texas, over 1,500 rushing yards, 18 touchdowns, 104 broken tackles, which is absolutely absurd. He's extremely productive. He's a strong runner. He'll be a three-down back for you in the NFL. I mean, just give him the football and he will make things happen. And not only can he do it in the running game, but he is a very capable pass catcher. And, I mean, when you draft him, he's going to be a focal point of your offense, and he is going to transform the way that you guys work on the offensive side of the football. So he's a very exciting prospect. And, I mean, you said he could go in the teens. I mean, I could see him going even earlier. I think his probably ceiling is 10 with the Eagles. I think that's probably the highest he can go. But, yeah, no, he is an absolute superstar in the making right now.
So you're bringing, talking about stats, I'll pull it up here with us too, just so everyone can follow along with what this guy was able to produce. The big thing for me about Bijan Robinson is the fact that this guy is a workhorse. I mean, you look at these carries in particular, 29 carries against Baylor, 25 in week 2 against Kansas, 30 against Kansas State, 24 against Oklahoma State, 28 against Iowa State, top, 25, 20-plus carries a game. And this guy was dominant every single time he got the ball. And he reminds me, he's a bruiser back where, I don't want to say like Derrick Henry per se, but, that's just what it reminds me of, where you just continuously give the guy the ball. And eventually, late in the game, he starts breaking, 10 to 15 to 18-yard carries where the defense is wearing thin because this guy is continuing to just gash them time and time again, running the football. And what I like most about him is, the athleticism. He's got good vision. He actually blocks really well. As we have some highlights when we get to him, some blocking highlights. But he's not, compared to what we'll see later, the receiving back. He's very much a back that, is going to run the ball.
Yeah, no, he's definitely going to run the ball. And what's important, that's what he's being drafted for. He's being drafted for his ability to make big runs, make people miss, and take pressure off of the passing game. That's what he's being drafted to do. But he also has the ability to help in the passing game, which is why he's so valuable. And you talked about how he runs the ball a lot, 25-plus carries in most of his games this season. Not only does he just pound the ball, he gets yards. He averaged just over 6 yards per carry last season. I mean, he's productive with it. He's not just a guy that's going to take it and get stopped at the line of scrimmage or get 2-3 yards. He's going to get chunk yardage, and he is going to make plays. I mean, he really is a special player.
I mean, he even has, acceleration, when something, when a play gets stuffed, if it's kind of like an inside run and he can bounce it, he has the acceleration to get the edge on some of these, perimeter defenders and still turn, a nothing play into a pretty solid play down the field. So we'll pull it up, the highlights here now of Bijan Robinson, and just what we're, put some video to what we're trying to describe from what we saw him do at Texas. So some of these plays, a lot of inside runs, and there's still a couple in here where I talked about, bouncing it, but, flat out making guys miss. A shifty guy, stays, loose on his feet, and here we go, get it, red zone work, gets to the perimeter, outside acceleration, makes a nice red zone touchdown there inside the 10-yard line, bouncing off some tackles. Just this is what we're talking about. A strong, capable runner who is easily adapt and ready to get 25 carries a game at the pro level, and it's what teams want out of a workhorse type back within their offense. The big thing, though, we talked about is, are you going to draft a running back this high? That's the concern with Bijan being a first-round pick with this position, is drafting a first-round running back to begin with isn't something that many GMs really are open to doing.
Yeah, and I think I think I agree with that. We've seen so many times you don't need a top 5 running back to win Super Bowls. You don't. We saw it with the Chiefs this year. They definitely don't have a top 5 running back in their room, but they are still dominant. They are. But when you've got a player like Bijan Robinson available and you are a Super Bowl caliber team, you can take the hit on that. You can take that player. Or if you have a subpar passing attack and you need someone to take the pressure off of that, he's going to be the guy to get it. Bijan is a very, very valuable player, and to have a top 5 running back, if you don't have a position of need that tops that, you might as well go and get it. Don't just lose your guy because, you don't want to draft a running back in the first round. Look at the Giants. They drafted Saquon Barkley 2 overall. He was absolutely amazing this year. Josh Jacobs, he was drafted in the first round. He has done absolutely amazing this year. It happens. You just need to take the shot sometimes, and Bijan Robinson is the kind of guy that you have to take the shot on.
Yeah, for sure. So now we see some of the receiving work, a design screen, getting the ball. This one is more so just getting the ball to him in space, and then, letting him make a move, with, some blockers in front of him. Here we see a little bit of some pass pro blocking, takes on a head rushing defender head on right in front of the quarterback, holds up his own, pretty much the furthest guy up the field still blocking at this point, allows, Quinn Ewers to get out of the pocket and, try to make a play. And then this next one as well, has a speed rusher coming from the right. He's able to, right off the snap to see that blitz coming in, move to his right, pick up that block, have a good anchor. And then again, Quinn Ewers gets a little bit out of the pocket. End up not turning into being a good play on that one out of Quinn Ewers being able to get out of the pocket, and ended up getting sacked on that one. But we're looking at Bijan. And Bijan, picked up a good block there with a speed rush, and then also, a power rush up the middle. So just the tape shows that, he's, able to do both of those things within your offense. And, maybe not be the receiving back on third down, but he can be in there, with a 3rd and long and can block for his quarterback as well.
Now, he's definitely a capable player at pretty much every part of the game that you want your starting running back to be able to do. And he has the explosiveness and the dominance in the running game to be that number 1 guy.
Yeah.
So, why not? Why not go and take him? Personally, I think he's probably going to be picked in the 20s. I don't think a team is going to reach in the top 20 to get him. But I definitely see the potential for him to be that 10 to 20 pick, somewhere in that range, because he's just that kind of player. He really is. It just, do the NFL GMs and scouts, do they believe the running back position is worth it? That's really the only question here.
So what teams do you really see as a fit potentially to land Bijan? In my mock draft, I believe I had him going to the Buccaneers, I believe. And, another team, the Washington Commanders has been another team that's been interested as well in, maybe getting Bijan, and they're trying to, do their due diligence in landing him. The New England Patriots have also thought about, maybe bringing him in on a potential visit as well. But what are some other teams out there that, could potentially look into adding Bijan Robinson into their offense? Because he's a special player no matter where he goes and which offense, he ends up joining.
Yeah, no, I think there's honestly a lot of teams that could use Bijan this year. One of the teams I already mentioned, Philadelphia Eagles. They've got 10 and pick 30, 2 picks here in the first round. And, obviously they can take the reach, try to get him early, jump in front of all those teams, or if he somehow slides all the way to 30, get him there. You mentioned the Patriots. I think that's a very interesting one. When I heard that they were thinking of adding another blue chip running back there, I mean, that's a lot of carries to share, and I think Bijan is going to be a guy that's going to want to be a 3-down back and really take a lot of carries. But some other teams that you didn't mention, the Buffalo Bills, I think they could definitely use a running back, and the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, Zeke is most likely not coming back there. Bijan Robinson could be the replacement there and create another backfield there with Tony Pollard. So those are 2 other teams, if he does end up slipping into that back half of the first round, that I'm looking at to potentially draft Bijan.
Yeah, the Bills definitely could be a very interesting one if Bijan falls down to Buffalo. Eagles also, if they want to trade, maybe trade back a couple spots from 10, they can make something work and get Bijan. They've still got a decent hole within their rushing attack, and they've pretty much in the similar size of Alvin Kamara, but still a guy who I think has the ability to get in and get out and potentially sneak into this first round. So Jahmyr Gibbs is another one as well that potentially could do so. So yeah, out of Alabama, what we saw out of him, just an ultra rare skill set. Receiving out of the backfield, great vision, great instincts, and the big thing for me is the acceleration. An explosive athlete. And we'll pull the tape up here and see what we have while we're waiting on Matt to join back. But some of these plays, gashing up the middle. And he's not the bruising type back I talked about with Bijan Robinson, but a slasher nonetheless in terms of what he's able to do when the ball is in his hands and receiving wise as well. But look at this acceleration, blowing through a hole and running straight down the field. He is gone off to the races against the Arkansas Razorbacks, which pretty much for him was an excellent game. He absolutely destroyed this defense, ran flat through them the entire game, and we'll have some receiving work come into it late as well. But this game, huge plays, flying down the field over and over again, time and time again. This guy was able to make it work within this offense and get this unit rolling. So Matt, looks like you're back with us here.
Yep.
We're talking about the film on Jahmyr Gibbs and just the slasher back that he is, working as a passing game, an ultra rare skill set as a receiver, and just the explosiveness that he can potentially bring to an offense and that he was able to showcase at Alabama. What more do you have to say about the guy?
Here's the thing. I think there are a lot of quality running backs in this draft, and Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, is the clear number 2. But there is a big gap, in my opinion, between Bijan and Jahmyr. There really is, just in the ability that he has. You mentioned earlier, I kind of heard it quietly through and everything. He's a receiving back. That's what he is going to be known for, and I think he is going to be a guy. I don't know if he's going to be able to be a number 1 in the NFL. I really don't. He's got the potential, but he's going to be a guy that's going to share touches. And I think that's the big thing with him, and that's why I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick, because he doesn't have the upside that Bijan has. He doesn't have the ability to carry an offense like Bijan does. So, in my opinion, he's going to be a second-round pick. He's going to be a very quality second-round pick. Team's going to get great value there, but it's going to be a team that kind of has that big-time 3-down back runner, and Jahmyr's going to be there to take some pressure off him, be a prevalent player in the receiving game, and then take a few touches, probably maybe 10, 15, to run the ball. But don't get me wrong, he's a very, very strong running back, and it'll be a good second-round pick.
Yeah, and I hinted on it at the beginning. I want to go more in depth of how you say he's going to be a number 2. He definitely needs a big, heavy wear and tear complement in that running back room alongside with him. And to be, a number 2 guy within an offense where, 5'9", 199 is what he weighed in at the combine. He's not going to be your every down back. But, I talked about it with Josh Downs last week. He has a particular skill set that offenses favor and not a lot of offenses have. And actually, no, Jalen Hyatt. Excuse me, not Josh Downs. Jalen Hyatt with the downfield
Yeah,
playmaking ability.
Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, Jalen Hyatt. Jahmyr Gibbs has that. As a explosive receiving back, not a lot of teams have that. And a lot of teams could potentially value that where they, maybe, spend a late first, top second round pick on him. But, what are those teams to you that really stand out to potentially land him? Because, I mean, early in this process, in the draft process, when he was potentially a first round guy, a lot of people linked him to a team we talked about earlier with Bijan Robinson, the Buffalo Bills, who run a lot more of a pass heavy attack where they can use him in the passing game. And if I think he sneaks in the first round, that is where I think he will land, is with the Buffalo Bills. But is there another team, maybe early second, that you're looking at where you see him potentially falling in your rankings and input?
I mean, I've been thinking about it a lot just over the past few minutes or so. He just screams Patriots. He really does. They've got two very good running backs in that room already, and he's just going to bring a different element in there. He doesn't need to be the guy in that offense. And that's what you're looking for. When you're drafting Jahmyr Gibbs, you're looking for a guy that he's going to complement your offense. He's not going to run it. He's going to complement it. The Patriots, you mentioned the Bills. I think that's another good one. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys, maybe. I think it's a little more unconventional just with the type of player Tony Pollard is. But the way that they run their offense, I think he could be another very interesting place there. I mean, even the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Mixon. I mean, he could be a compliment to him. I mean, there's just so many teams late in the first round, early second round that I think if Bijan does end up going in those teams' picks, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be that guy that goes in there. A lot of those teams, they already have their kind of primary rusher, and now they just need someone to complement. And those are the kind of teams that I'm looking at. I mean, even the Eagles. If they end up going running back at 30 and Bijan's gone, Jahmyr to the Eagles could be an interesting one. But no, those are the teams that I'm really looking at. Just teams that have a primary rusher already and are looking for a complement in their offense.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the top of the second round, too, some other teams that fit that bill. I mean, the Cardinals, I'd agree with as well. I mean, compliment to James Conner, give Kyler Murray an option in the passing game to work with, and be that receiving back that James Conner tries to be, but hasn't really panned out to being the explosiveness of it that Jahmyr Gibbs could bring. The Raiders, another one early in the second round. I mean, the Saints, who knows what's going to eventually happen with, the situation with Alvin Kamara in the first place right now. And teams don't want to pay running backs, so you can replace a guy with a similar skill set within your offense. 44, the Atlanta Falcons, potentially as well.
Yep.
I mean, could add, they added Tyler Algier last year, who had a good rookie season. Cordell Patterson's a 35-year-old now running back. It seems like that he's used as in that offense, so he's another passing down back that also could be used there in Atlanta. But an interesting player. Two interesting guys here in Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs to consider when you look at this position and you look at the top 2 rounds of the draft to see where these two guys can go. But are there some other ones out there, Matt? Some other running backs we're not hitting on as deep that you could see, maybe not going incredibly early, but, teams always find bargains at running backs within the NFL draft. Who are some of those guys that you think could be the new bargain backs that can turn into a real star in the NFL this year?
The running back, when it comes to scouting the NFL draft, the running back position is probably one of my favorite positions to go with because there are so many diamonds kind of in the rough that you have to get. Because as we've mentioned throughout this entire show, you don't draft running backs in the first round typically. You need to hit in later rounds. And there are a lot of guys here. I mean, the two guys that stick out most to me are Zach Charbonnet out of UCLA and Sean Tucker out of Syracuse. I think they're both really good rushers that can both help in the running game and the passing game. And they could sneak into the second round. These guys could both be second-round running backs. I think it obviously depends on who's available, stuff like that. I mean, the usual draft stuff. But no, I think they're both very, very special runners. I've liked Zach Charbonnet for a while. I just started watching UCLA over the past 2 seasons or so. Just always seem to watch the late night games. And I mean, Zach Charbonnet is a very special player. He can run in the 4.4s if at his highest potential. And no, these guys are going to be steals in the draft. And there's plenty more that I'm sure you'll hear about over the next few weeks. Um, but if we're just looking second, third round guys, Charbonnet and Tucker, those are my two guys.
Yeah, two guys I'll throw out there as well that I think pretty much made a good name for themselves throughout this process leading up to the draft have been Tajay Spears, who I really like coming into this one. Personally, what he can bring out of what is it, Tulsa?
Tulane.
Tulane. Yeah, Tulane. Coming out of
Yep.
Tulane, excuse me. And then so Tajay Spears, another good one. Devin Akane out of Texas A&M.
Devin Akane, yeah.
Akane, yeah.
Yep.
And Akane's another one as well that I had on my agenda.
And Tank Bigsby.
Tank Bigsby too. Another one. I mean, there's a couple out there.
They're running.
Yeah, one I really wished had a better process that didn't was Kenny McIntosh out of Georgia.
Yeah.
He did not have the best, pro day, and reports coming, what he was able to produce and how the scouts have felt about him throughout his process. I really wish he had a better process going into this year's draft. And then Deuce Vaughn, another one that could, a name to throw out there at K State as well. So there's some quality guys in here. Teams are going to find their depths at running backs late in this draft like they always do. And that's where they find the best value at this position. But Matt, we hit on the two top names. Bijan Robinson, and, of course, Jahmyr Gibbs as well. So that's what we have today. We're going to be back in studio, Matt, on Monday. We're going to do the tight ends on Monday. So a big show upcoming at the start of next week. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in, checking out these two running backs with us, breaking down their tape, and breaking down what they can bring to their offense. Matt, I will see you on Monday.
Looking forward to it.
So that's what we have for this week's episode, or the end of this week's episode. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. I do want to have another special shout out as well. Shout out to Deacon Skinner and his Tampa Bay Rays, the lone undefeated team in the MLB. He wanted a special shout out for the start that they had. 6-0 start to their season at the time of this recording. So shout out to the Tampa Bay Rays getting things done here at the start of the MLB season. So again, we'll be back on Monday with the tight end groups. So we will see you then, and until next time.